Kinetic is a blockchain crypto investment firm based in Hong Kong and Puerto Rico. Founded in 2016, they were the first fund in Hong Kong and one of the earliest in Asia. With a portfolio of over 220 companies, they were seed investors in such projects as Ethereum, Parity and Polkadot, Solana, FTX and of course Handshake and Namebase. Founder Johan Chu is an active investor and supporter of the Handshake ecosystem. Over 100,000 domains, co-founder of DWeb Foundation, co-founder of HandyCon, and sponsor of the Handshake House at Miami Hack Week 2022.
All right. So, last but definitely not least, Handyhost. I've been watching you guys since the release I saw a few months ago. So it's really exciting. Fistful, what are you thinking? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready for these guys to carry it home. HandyOSS has been huge in the Handshake ecosystem, giving out grants, building great tech, building just great stuff. So I'm really excited for them to be able to do kind of a live demonstration as well as overview of what they've built over here, because I think that this, is kind of a cornerstone of the DWeb and having all these protocols work together.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'll let you guys take it away from here.
All right, and then Johnny Woo's there, community manager, Namebase in the chat. Let's finish this off strong. Day one, great. This is a great session to end an amazing day. So take it away, Thomas and Alex. We'll hide ourselves here.
Cool. Thanks for the welcome.
Go ahead, Alex.
All right. Really glad to be here. High fives to everybody all around. Really cool community. It's really, really amazing. Handyhost. I'm Alex, HandyOSS co-founder, here with my good friend and colleague Thomas. He's also a co-founder. 2 of 3 parts. The other part being Stephen McKee. We all founded this vision about 3 years ago. In the very early days of Handshake, we got pulled in to write the first miner, the GPU miner, way back. I mean, it feels like years ago, right? Well, literally years ago, but decades. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Many iterations of that, and really the sweet kind of point that we found with that. I mean, writing a miner, it's not rocket science by any means, but the interface for that miner is kind of the secret sauce of everything. And we really pride ourselves on, really making it easy. I mean, especially like when we made the Handy Miner GUI, we wanted it to just be a double-click thing, like anybody could sign on. Because at that point in time, we had no idea when ASICs would hit, no idea when FPGAs would hit. We're like, okay, let's make something so that if you have a computer or 3 at home, just double-click, spin up this miner, and start mining. And we had a lot of success. I mean, you guys all saw it. I mean, you were there, like in the early days. ASICs showed up earlier, of course. But there was still like this sweet time of GPU mining, and we pride ourselves on mining the first few blocks as well, and just had an amazing journey. And then as we know, along came ASICs, right? So Goldshell approached us early on. They kind of had this really early interface for their miners, and they were really impressed with our stuff. So they actually asked us to port our stuff and support the HS1 and then eventually the HS1 Plus. So that people could have this really great experience. And, you saw some of the reviews probably out there on YouTube from some of the channels. They just loved it, right? So we got really excited about the interface side of this. And so, we kept churning stuff out. Eventually, we pushed out Handy Browser and, just kind of trying to push the domain as much as we could to try and get everything going. We came to this point where, in the last bull run, like you couldn't find miners anywhere. GPUs were just, you couldn't find them. They were super expensive. And at the same time, you couldn't find an HS1 or HS1 Plus. We're like, well, we need to figure something out. I mean, that uses a ton less energy. We all have guilt about mining. Me and Thomas have been mining for years, and like, man, it just eats me up, how much energy I use. And we're like, how can we do something for the Handshake ecosystem to monetize and, provide some financial freedom to people with hardware, the same way that we're kind of seeing the success with Handy Miner early on. So which brings us to Handyhost. You want to hit the next slide, Thomas?
Sure.
So yeah, Handyhost, what is it? Why do we make it? Passive income, right? That's kind of the point. So we wanted to make something that, easy to just, click a couple times, spin up this thing. So essentially we have a Node.js server running on your machine locally, and then it spins up all these services for you, keeps them up to date and patched. Whenever there's a release of either any of these components or Handyhost, you get an in-app update that says, hey, update your stuff. So everything is, as buttoned down as we can make it, right? And then we picked some services that were perfect in the DWeb ecosystem to run on top. Modular. We can make many more as we want. We'll show you the roadmap in a little while. But these were the first 3 candidates that we thought made a lot of sense to make. So first, Dvpn, and in the parens there you see HNSD. So Dvpn Sentinel, as the name implies, it's VPN, it's decentralized, right? So you can basically bandwidth mine. You're selling your extra bandwidth. We've all got fiber now, right? So you've got a bunch to go around. So you might as well monetize that. And the double bonus there, it's running HNSD under the hood so that you can actually, anybody who's connecting to your node, they can resolve their names. And the double bonus there, like for me, when I go out on the road, I maybe want to, I'm on mobile, I maybe want to resolve some handshake names. I can pay myself money, DVPN, to connect securely to my own node here at my house and resolve names on the go from mobile. So it was this really cool kind of double bonus effect of running this, right? And so I'm going to go by effort here. Then we go over to Saya. Saya was, a little bit heavier lift to implement than DVPN, not bad. But yeah, this was like a summer-long project for us. But yeah, Saya it was really cool. I mean, we were really impressed by kind of the stack there. It's been around forever, and it's really fun to sell storage, right? And it was, really, really quick and dirty to get up and running. We pride ourselves on a lot on the visualization side. So there's lots of graphs, charts, and all kinds of fun stuff to look at while you experience this. And then last but not least, definitely not least, was Akash. Akash is like really, so we've had to tear apart and rewrite Akash, I feel like twice now, just getting things right. Like it's really early. Sometimes things break, sometimes they work great. So it's lots of like band-aids everywhere, keeping it together, but it's starting to stabilize now. They're working on version like 0.15, which is a lot better in my opinion. So yeah, it's early days, but really exciting. But Akash, basically like Handyhost is like this master node, right? And from there, it runs a whole Kubernetes cluster, which is what Akash is. It's basically like you've got the blockchain, and then you've got a Kubernetes cluster. And then from there, you're deploying essentially Docker containers within your Kubernetes environment through Akash and making money doing that. So you kind of got these services bundled up under Handyhost. And, it's just really easy, like really easy. It's extremely hard behind the scenes. You can imagine like with Handyhost, I can double click and, install the thing. But then from the Kubernetes side, like setting up a full cluster with no command line is insane, right? I mean, to the extent that like we can pop a thumb drive into my Handyhost machine, I can flash the latest Ubuntu long-term support, custom image onto this thumb drive, fully unattended, so that I can plug that into any of these nodes. Like if I want to build my own server racks, or if I got extra hardware laying around, I can just it's the most dangerous USB I own, to be honest, because like you plug it in, you turn the machine on, it owns that machine. It wipes everything, takes over the drive, phones home securely to register itself, and then you build your Kubernetes cluster with another click, right? Not easy task, but like super rewarding at the end of the day when you can spin up a cluster that easily. And I guess that's all I have on this slide. You want to pop to the next one, Thomas?
There we go.
Cool. So yeah, hardware side. And again, we have a YouTube channel, and like on our GitHub page, we have all these builds really well documented. So I'm not going to go like into great detail on these builds here, but like, you want to build any of these, we got the guides for it. And Thomas makes a lot of these builds too, of like, these Raspberry Pi builds. But basically, you can start small and build up. So like the Raspberry Pi 4, we use these a lot. Like I use it for a DVPN node, and it's it's a couple $100 for the ultimate setup when you pop on an NVMe drive over USB 3. So it's it's a super low entry point. You can also pop on some storage to that and then run a smaller Saya node if you want. And as well, one of the things I do with mine is I run a cache provider. So kind of like the brains, like the the blockchain interactions and all those things happen on this Akash provider node. It schedules all these things that get shipped, and it just kind of manages things. So, really low footprint, nice entry point. Excuse me. But second on this list is our master node, and we call it the Ferrari because it's got tons of LEDs, and it's we Thomas and I build these pretty standard mining rigs. So it was kind of nice for us to like build this fancy kind of, it looks like a gaming computer, but it's not a gaming computer at all.
Well, certainly not.
Yeah, and they man, it's like we're kind of this stack of where we've got, in my build I've got 6 24 terabytes. Thomas has 8 on his.
Yeah, I stepped it up a little bit, but it's basically the same exact thing. Just 2 extra hard drives. That's it.
Yeah, and there's some guy had like crazy cable combs on his. Mine, like, I try to keep the cable mesh good, but some guy has like cable combs on the SATA cables. It looks really good. But yeah, I mean, this same build, like, I mean, it cost me like $1,100, close to maybe $1,200 now to build. But yeah, so you can also strip down if you don't. You could probably get away with building this same machine for like $800, $900. And it uses really low energy. I mean, the energy you're using to provide SIA disk space, I mean, it's the cost of spinning disks. Like, I haven't hooked up a Wattman to mine, but like, it's definitely a lot less energy usage than mining for sure, which is what I like. I mean, because really, like, dude, $800 or $900, you can't even get a good GPU for mining with that, let alone like any ASIC. So like, if you can run something like this, you're providing to the community, it's kind of a win-win for everybody, and you're monetizing that. And then on the further on the right-hand side, we've got the Akash cluster nodes. And these are, you can really bring your own anything to this table. If you want to make your server build, make your server build. We start pretty low and build up from there. So these are like the UDO bolts that we use. They're like a 4-core but 8-threaded CPU. Again, Akash, it has to be an x86 CPU. And that's really the only requirement. So you can't make like a Raspberry Pi cluster. I did actually, thinking I could, because it wasn't documented yet, but hey, guess what? You can't use ARM. So x86, it has to be on Akash, but that's the only real requirement from the hardware side. And then, of course, use NVMe storage because it's fast. People are going to be renting these servers from you, so you want it to be good quality of service. And you can, for these nodes, like I usually run mine with 8 to 16 gigs, but you can go up to 32 gigs of RAM. And as well, like, you start small and scale up. I mean, you could have 1 node. I think, Thomas, you got 4 now, right?
Yeah, I have 4 running right now.
Yeah.
We're using the UDO bolt gears. That's where we started with, and they are amazing, very easy to set up, very clear instructions whenever you first get them as well. And then as far as Akash, literally that USB drive that Alex was talking about, literally you plug it in and boot it up and it does its own thing and it's ready to go within 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
no coding required.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, we even put it, notifications like right in the UI. Like once that machine is up and is phoned home, it says I'm set up. Like you get a nice notification, move on down the line to the next machine and get set up. But yeah, I'm super proud of that part. Yeah, I guess with that, you want to walk us through your setup there, Thomas? Because yeah, I know you've got all this stuff up right now.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share that screen and give you a live demo of what Handyhost looks like. I think we got it now. Yep.
Yeah.
So we added, of course, we have to add some fancy animations. Let me go ahead and show that off. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with Sentinel. And all of this, just like Alex was talking about, it's all a GUI interface. Everything is extremely easy. No coding required. First thing you notice after you get it up and running is the HNS portion right here. So just like Alex said earlier, you can technically connect back to your own Handyhost node, and you can open up any Handshake TLD or SLD on the fly. While you're mobile, doesn't matter. It's going through a VPN connection back to your own internet connection, which is really nice. Here is just some stats right here with the bandwidth usage. I don't have that much stuff going on, but as you see, a couple hits here and there. But you can scroll over, you can see how much bandwidth, the download and upload, and then also per user as well. I think I can kind of see it a little bit easier here. But like as you have like multiple people on here, you can kind of start browsing through here and seeing how much bandwidth each user is using. And you have your active sessions. As far as, configuration, it's all simple stuff. You do have to set up your stuff on your router as far as your opening ports. But, this is all just extremely easy stuff. Pretty much anybody can do it. You can halt and start node here. We've been pushing out updates. If we get updates, or whenever we push out an update to the users, you'll get an update notice right here on the left-hand side. You can't miss it. And it's basically a one-click updater. Makes things extremely easy. And this is, as far as with Sentinel Dvpn, you can connect to anybody else's node if you chose to as well. Anybody else that's running Handyhost, and anybody that's sharing bandwidth, and it's all passive income for the bandwidth that's being used. So let me go ahead and switch it on over to I'll do Saya next. And basically same thing with this one. You have to open up ports on your router. You get your host score. That's done by Saya. I have a pretty decent internet connection, but I'm also running like three different Handyhost devices at the house. On my main computer, this one right here, I think it's 32 terabytes. We can go right over here to storage. A little bit off. They're 4 terabytes each on each hard drive, but you can easily add more storage. You can add more folders and save it. Here's all your configuration stuff. It's all very straightforward. Calculating your own numbers. We even integrated in here averages, so people can tell what kind of average price that people are selling their storage for. That way it gives you kind of like a general idea. And here in dashboard, let me go and show off some more of this stuff right here with contracts. You see how many active contracts you have. It gives you a lot of stats. And then on each bubble, this is each of your contracts, and it'll tell you, the proof of deadline, when it expires, your revenue that's going to be potentially coming from it, the collateral used for that contract. And then down here, you can also see all your earnings, how much you brought in so far, all your potential. Some of these, I believe most of my contracts are about max 180. I think it's 180 days that I set it for. So they are kind of lengthy, and then a lot of times they do renew. So, until it does expire out, that's, kind of holds off, postpones whenever you get that payout. But the more the better. I'd like for more people to use my storage as much as possible and generate even more earnings. And then down here you can see your total storage. So this right here is only showing 22 terabytes, almost 23. And then your registry used. There's some really good stats out of it. You can go through all these contracts and you can see which ones are like the big hitters. And once again, all passive income, which is really nice about all of this. And then let me go ahead and switch on over to Akash. So just like me and Alex were talking about it earlier, I have 4 Odoo bolts running right now. So you can see that the provider is online. I'll just show all your leases that are active, how many leases that you've closed. Those are ones that you started, and then the renter has closed it. How many open bids, and this does do an auto bidding system as well. So whenever you go through your setup, you can set what kind of price that you want for all of your clusters or your pods really, and it'll, as the market has more open orders, Akash on our end will automatically bid on those. So there's no user input on your end. And then here's bids closed. These are all my bids that it's automatically put in without no work on my end whatsoever. And as you can see, bids lost. People outbid me, and I'm fine with that. You can see some stats from your clusters, and then some more individual stats as well per cluster. Let me go ahead and show. Excuse me. Here goes marketplace. There we go. Ooh, I should have brought some water in here. Sorry about that, guys. But here goes. This is the marketplace. This is where all the bidding happens. So you can see if you want to view like what other people are renting for as far as pricing. So you can kind of like maybe change up your pricing structure if you chose to. But there's a lot of information. You can see all your bids, your leases. And once again, your provider logs. I mean, this is always going, gives you more information. And here goes configuration. It's all very easy stuff with the GUI interface. And that was what we want to do with HandyHost, is make it as easy as possible for anybody to just install it and get it up and running without being a tech guru.
Yeah, and one of the things too, it's you won't see it here in this configuration. You'll see it on our YouTube channel, but we actually have a full configurator like walkthrough. So when you come into a brand new instance, it literally like is like a wizard, walks you through like step by step what up and running. So it's like extremely user ease to get things set up.
That is it for my demo. I mean, that's pretty much everything. It's all very straightforward stuff. We take a lot of pride in HandyHost, and we have a lot of information on our GitHub and especially on our YouTube channel. A lot of videos, setup videos, walkthroughs, all of that awesome stuff. Cool.
Yeah, I'll jump into kind of next steps and roadmaps for everything that we're doing. So we've got some lower hanging fruit here for integration candidates. Helium was one that we actually started with Helium. I've got my little hotspot here. It's funny, they came out. You can buy all the tech for a DIY hotspot or forwarder rather. It's really cheap. It cost me like $100 for, there's just a standard Raspberry Pi. I think this one's a 3 as well. And you just buy this hat and this radio tech that it snaps on. Then you get an antenna and a GPS that pops on. At the point when we started doing this in the summer, the packet forwarders were not monetized yet. They were kind of on the Helium roadmap. It was TBD then. It ended up happening this past fall. So it's something that we're going to revisit pretty quick here of, being able to add on and manage and keep up to date your DIY Helium nodes. I mean, I'm sure you guys have looked at the prices of Helium nodes. It's insane. So yeah, if you can build one of these for $100 and it's as easy as snapping on some tech and, literally like much like our other things like pop.
Looks like we might have lost Alex there.
He does have some not the best internet.
Okay, well, he can join back, but if you could, do you feel comfortable going through the roadmap and everything?
Alex has more in depth with the roadmap. I would really like for him to speak on that behalf. Let me look at the Q&A.
Oh, okay. Wait, it looks like we got him back.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay,
guys.
yeah. Yeah, you're all good.
Weird. Yeah, I could totally hear you guys. It was like, yeah, I don't know. All right. So did you guys hear everything I said about the Helium hotspots?
Yeah, about how you can just kind of snap it on, plug and play, and just go.
Word. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So second candidate that we're looking at is Audius, audio. There's been rumors that at some point in the last few months that you can basically monetize hosting things for Audius. And one of the things that I had a lot of fun doing in the past was making audio visualizers. So there's potential of basically us building visualizers that pop into a cache and then talk to your Audius nodes, and you basically rent out audio visualizers as a service. So that's kind of something. It's still out there in the ether, but we're thinking about it. And then third, I think this is probably the lightest lift, to be honest, is Dvpn Client. They released a CLI client a while back. They have mobile apps, but there's no kind of PC computer app yet for Dvpn. So we've been thinking about that one as well, integrating that, A, but then B, on our end as well, on the server side, popping in Dane into the mix, because that's not there in Dvpn right now. I would love it to be. So that's something that we're looking at, of putting out our own Dvpn client and then providing Dane, contributing that to the Dvpn ecosystem, so everything's nice and tidy. Then the large lifts, Handy Client. So you probably saw this stuff of Handyhost, and we kind of set it up intentionally this way of providing, starting up a lot of kind of the server side ecosystem of, think about AWS. Right. So think about the AWS management console, and you can draw a lot of parallels into what we're doing here. Right. So think of, Handshake being like a Route 53 for your domain management. Right. I mean, we could, it's pretty ideal to, to bolt in Handshake there for TLDs, SLDs, et cetera. And then you've got, your S3, which is very much, like Saya, and Akash, of course, servers. So, I mean, between those three, there's so much potential to kind of make like this client interface, much like the AWS console, where like, you can pretty much plan out your whole topology for larger apps. So I want this database, I want an Elasticsearch, I want a graph database, whatever that is, like be able to configure that on the fly for Akash. And then manage everything else, network it together, whether that be through DVPN for kind of your VPN, your VPC type configurations, and as well have all the services live through Handshake. I mean, it's like, part of me is like, we're doing all this, bringing this to the people, but at some point we're going to want to say, let's just bring them to us. And like, everything's running Handshake, every machine, every server, they're all just like, we're inventing our own internet. Let's just start eating our own dog food, like make them come to us. So I think it's, we want to make it really easy for people to integrate all these services and really kind of decentralize what AWS is doing. And, just bringing all these things together. Oh man, love you guys. But, yeah, that's kind of like our grand vision for all this stuff is, we've set up all the infrastructure side, and now it's time to start kind of building the user experience that's going to make all this fun and easy and bring everything that we're all doing together. Because, I mean, we're all working our asses off on this stuff. I mean, it's let's bring it all together and, and build something crazy. So, yeah, I mean, with that, like, that's pretty much all I've got here. We can finish a few minutes early and just pop over to QA if you guys are into it.
Yeah, man, let's do some Q&A. Here, the first question from Johnny. Why is it called Handyhost if it doesn't mine HNS?
No, that's a great question. I mean, initially, we've had Handy in front of all of our things. I mean, it's mainly because, DVPN bundles in HNSD into it, so you can resolve Handshake names. Initially, we wanted to bundle in our existing Handy miner code base into everything. And, you could pop in an HS1 or HS1 Plus, but those are like non-existent now. You can't even find them. But really, it's just because like, we started in the Handshake ecosystem, you can resolve names. And ultimately in the big picture, Handshake is the thing that's gluing everything together. So in this case, it's less about mining and more about passive income generation.
Yeah, for sure. I remember seeing Steven on Twitter saying that anybody can use Handy, and it just means that you're using or you're doing stuff open source and for public good. All right. And next question, is Sia coin mining actually worth it given all the costs involved with burning out hard drives?
I mean, thus far it has been. I probably on my machine it depends on the price anyways, but between like $40 and $60 a month, which is more than I would make off of my, off this probably around the same energy of an HS1. So, I mean, I think it is, especially like I'm a long-term holder of Saya. I mean, I'm like, I'm waiting for those days when it's back to 6 cents and beyond, and then it's extra worth it. So, I mean, I think it depends. If you're going to be a short-term holder and sell right away, I honestly don't, I mean, that's really your judgment call. But I would say as a person who believes in this whole ecosystem and especially in the project, yeah, absolutely worth it.
All right, and last question from Steven. Can a user deploy a HSD node using HandyHost in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we, once we're kind of waiting on a cache for this one because you can't. You can't kind of name your ports on a cache right now, and that's the problem. Like, so when I say, to a cache, I want to deploy something on a cache. Give me these specific ports for my app. It maps them to something else. So, if I wanted to say deploy a resolver, well, hey, great. 53 I can't use. That's off limits for me. So, they've said though they're going to have named ports in the future, so that way I can set my ports. I want the 12037 or whatever it is for the for running a node and having it communicate, all that good stuff with peers. Like, we kind of need those ports, but absolutely, that's huge in our vision.
All right, awesome. Well, we still got like a pretty good amount of big chunk of time. I don't know if anybody else in the chat has any other questions that they wanted to ask, or let me see, or if you guys want to talk about anything else, maybe anything bigger picture past HandyHost, past HandyOSS that you wanted to cover and talk about.
I mean, we part of our other passion project is all about kind of bringing sustainable produce and food into the mix. But that's like, I mean, it's way out there in terms of like, does it really shake much? But yeah, it's still very very under wraps. But it's something that we're pretty passionate about. Food.
What about the whole oh, sorry.
No,
What about the whole Dex grid thing? Are you guys working on that with Steven, or is that his own thing?
that's all Steven pretty much.
Okay, got you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex and Thomas. It's really cool.
Welcome.
And
Yeah,
I mean, I remember I followed you. You guys helped me out. I got a HS1 when I just first got into Handshake, and Raspberry Pi set up. I remember that. It was really cool. And in the Telegram group, you guys were answering I think Thomas was and Stephen were answering my questions. Stuff was really cool. Thanks for everything you do for Handshake.
Yeah, they have their own Telegram too. I'm actually gonna drop that in the chat for anybody that would like to join. They will answer all your questions, very available to help you get set up, help get you some passive income and
And
support the
it's
network,
handyhost.computer, right? It's the website. Is that the best? Oh, yeah, I got it right there. So I typed in the chat too. Okay.
Well, we
yeah,
can cut it a little early if you guys want to, unless you if there's other last minute questions or anything that anybody wanted to cover.
There's one question in the main chat. Any potential to add Urbit to HandyHost, URBIT, or DWeb whitelist projects? It's some Ryan. He put it in the event feed.
Yeah, I'll look into it for sure. I mean, we're always open to any projects that are out there that can kind of plug in. I mean, we're totally open to it because I mean, there's tons of tools that we've either heard of or haven't heard of or thinking about, but there's so many to keep up with that are ready or not. So yeah, always let us know and we'll absolutely look into it.
Awesome. And Anne has given us a reminder. I think we can use this time for networking. There's table mode in AirMeet in this event. I know between a break, some people have not found that or been aware of that. So we could leverage this time for networking. I don't know if Thomas or Alex want to hang out or not, but I think anybody here can go to those tables. That's the benefit of coming here live, staying up late or getting up early, wherever you are in the world, to make some real contacts and connections as well as learn. So I think the way to get there in AirMeet is when we finish this session, the AirMeet will stay open. It's going to be the same link for the next 2 days. So this is just the end of day 1. Day 2 and 3 will be in the same URL, so you can just bookmark the link and rejoin. But you can go into tables. It's called Lounge, and there's also booths, and booths have videos, and you can interact with those sponsors to connect with them. Again, thank you to our 3 cornerstone sponsors: Kinetic Capital, also Impervious, as well as a Handshake Institute. And they have booths in as well. So if you'd like to use either the booths or the lounge to network in tables, it's definitely for everyone here. People here, everybody in this room, in this event is still very early, right? There's still so much opportunity in the space. I mean, maybe we'll leave it at that. I don't know if you want to add to that where we are in the space. I mean, right, Alex or Thomas? Do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, to me, being an old guy, it feels like the internet back in the 90s. It's so exciting, and there's so much potential, and all this energy, man. It's that's what I get excited about. It feels like that again.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so I think with that, we'll wrap up for day 1 officially. Tomorrow, day 2 will be starting at 12 p.m. Pacific for a auction, and then a speech from Angry Mouse, Nick, and then a little bit more auction. It'll be a Ukraine auction for fundraising, and then we'll go into our sessions. And then day 3 will start at 12 noon Pacific again for the HandyCon auction with .s and others. We'll be announcing those in Twitter and other channels. But for now, let's wrap up day 1. What do you think, Fistful? Great job, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody who stuck around for the whole thing. I hope you're ready for 2 more days of really good, jam-packed content, really good speakers lined up, and learning. I definitely learned some stuff today. I had a really great time here today listening to everybody, and I hope you guys did as well. And thank you again for sticking through those technical difficulties that we had throughout. Yeah, thanks for staying strong, guys. Really appreciate it.
I think we're getting it, and so same ear meet link, and then of course hashtag HandyCon 2022 on Twitter. There's a lot of cool stuff happening on Twitter, and we'll see you in the networking. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
All right, see you guys.
Kinetic is a blockchain crypto investment firm based in Hong Kong and Puerto Rico. Founded in 2016, they were the first fund in Hong Kong and one of the earliest in Asia. With a portfolio of over 220 companies, they were seed investors in such projects as Ethereum, Parity and Polkadot, Solana, FTX, and of course Handshake and Namebase. Founder Johan Chu is an active investor and supporter of the Handshake ecosystem. Over 100,000 domains, co-founder of DWeb Foundation, co-founder of HandyCon, and sponsor of the Handshake House at Miami Hack Week 2022.